the girl that broke up with me for the reasons my previous girlfriend broke up with me. And my dad stops the car and he says, all of that doesn't matter. How much of your weekly routine is something that you really want to do, you know? Or did you just go into that because it was convenient? Are you excited to wake up for your day? And if so, why? And if not, why? You know, so it wasn't always like this for me. If you had told 20-year-old Marwin what 30-year-old Marwin is doing right now, bro, he'd be like, wow, you did it.
How the f*** do we stay consistent if we're feeling so unmotivated all the time?
Consistency is a byproduct of showing up for the type of person you want to be and the purpose behind it.
Outsourcing these experts have such a massive impact.
Absolutely. Money buys time. Money buys time. Your mental and emotional state influences your physical state. I'll ask questions to help you discover the answers for yourself.
Change is hard. Change is scary. Change requires effort. What would you say to that, Marwin, if he was in the room right now?
Remember, your best is going to look different from time to time. And at the very minimum, 1% is still better than what you did last week.
Bro, that gave me the chills, eh? You're listening to the Second Wind podcast. So let's go. Marwin, brother, we made it. We made it. Here we go. Episode number 2 of the Second Wind podcast. Almost forgot the name of my own podcast there. It is only number 2, so I'll let myself off. I'd like to just dive straight in, brother, and get a bit of context for everyone, find out a bit about your childhood, and maybe if there are some key themes or even moments that have shaped the man that sits before me.
Bro, first of all, thanks for having me on. Amazing that you've started off your own podcast. I know that we've talked about this behind the scenes, so it's an absolute privilege to be your number 2 guest. Or am I your first guest?
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2 guest.
Bit awkward.
So yeah, bro, thanks for having me on. For those that don't know me, my name is Marwin Silerio. I was born in the Philippines. When I was 3 years old, my father immigrated to Papua New Guinea and then New Zealand and left us in the Philippines to provide better opportunities for our family. So when I was 5 years old, he had saved up enough for our airfare tickets and got a solid base for us to then immigrate from, the whole lot of us, so my mum, my sister and myself, to immigrate from the Philippines to then Taupo, New Zealand. I lived in Taupo from 5 years old all the way I was 20, and then I moved to Auckland to study a bachelor's in performing arts and screen and theatre acting. And I've been in Auckland ever since, bro. I actually hated the first 2 years of living in Auckland.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, have you been to Taupo?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like tiny. And back in those days, there was only one set of traffic lights. When I came out to Auckland, now there's like one set of traffic lights every 10 meters.
Yeah,
and it would take like 30 minutes to go see my mate. In Taupo, bro, you drive any which way for 30 minutes, you're in another fucking town. You know, I'm allowed to swear here?
Yeah, bro. Swear as much as you want.
So you mentioned pivotal moments, right? Pivotal moments in my upbringing. I would say 2 come to mind. The first one would be when I think I was like, 17 years old. And at the time I was like making American hot dogs. And I used to love that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Back in those days, if I really liked the food, I would eat it every single day. Anyway, I was making myself American hot dogs. I made about 3 or 4. And then my dad comes home. And as I was eating, he goes, yo, you're going to share some with your brother? And I was my little brother. And I was like, nah, these are mine. And I've never seen my dad get so fucking angry and so passionate. Actually, just so angry, bro.
Wow.
He got so angry and he was like, oh, so what? We're just going to feed ourselves now, are we? So is it just you're going to eat and your little brother's going to starve? You're going to cook all that food for yourself? And I was like, whoa. And at that time, that was the first time I realized the huge value of family, of all for one, one for all, serve someone, something outside of yourself. Another pivotal moment was when I was driving up to Auckland with my dad to start my bachelor's in performing arts. And I remember, my dad back then was not so much pressuring me, but he always talked about doing the big 5, the Asian big 5. So it was like, be a doctor, be an engineer, be an accountant, be a lawyer. But I wanted to be an actor.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember driving up to Auckland, and it was just me and him in the car, and I was like, Dad, look, I'm sorry that I didn't want to be what you wanted me to be. Sorry that I wanted to do acting, but thanks for letting me do it. And my dad stops the car, and he says, all of that doesn't matter. What really matters is that you're happy. I moved us from the Philippines to New Zealand so you could be happy, so you could have opportunities that I never have. And that's such a big moment for me, because that really solidified the opportunity that I was given, the privileges that I've been given in comparison to my family that are still in the Philippines. So like, it's a big driver on why I do the things I do now, bro, because I have a huge opportunity in front of me that I could never would have had if I stayed in the Philippines. So since I've got this huge opportunity here in New Zealand, why not use it? Why not make the most out of it, right?
Yeah.
That's a big reason on what drives me.
Bro, that gave me the chills, eh? When you said about, like, I was right there in the car with you and your dad, and that's awesome. That's so cool that you got fed that, and it's something that I try and feed my son. He's only 3 years old, and there's so much research around, I think it's like the first sort of, you hear different things, but sort of like the first sort of 5-7 years. And if you can just ingrain that into your kids, you know, all these positive messages, like, you can fucking be whatever you want to be, you know? And then, like what your dad's saying, like, it doesn't matter, just be happy. Like, choose a career or whatever that makes you happy, because if you're happy, you know, everything else kind of falls in place, eh?
Yeah, it's funny, the expectations that our parents subconsciously put onto us without having to talk about it. You know, that, like, I thought, because my father always mentioned the big Asian five of lawyer, engineer, blah, 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 that's what I had to be. I bet you his parents saw that for him as well, that was the metrics of success, that in order to be successful, you've got to do these jobs. But somewhere, thankfully, along the line, my father woke up to being like, no, you don't have to be the Asian five, you can just be happy. Because that's what my father was, bro. Like,
what does he do?
He's a chef, and we own our own cafe. And
cool.
I've had like great yarns with my father when my mum is like, sell the business now, let's just retire. And I've asked my dad, I've been like, okay, are you gonna do it? And he goes, son, this is what I've always wanted all my life. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah. So he pursued his passion. So of course he wanted you to do the same.
Yeah. But to fill in that gap of like trying to guide his son at the same time, he only knew one way was to be this, be that, be this, be that. When all I wanted, he has always been my role model. For my father to come to a different country, start up a successful business, I've always held him to the highest regard.
That's awesome.
You know? So when he was telling me to be this, be that, I was like, that trips me out a little bit, because that's not what I want to be. I want to be in many ways like you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. And so you obviously did pursue a bit of a passion. You're not acting at the moment now, are you?
I still act, but those come like contractually. Like, it's very rare for someone in New Zealand to pick up a full-time job in acting. The people, if you want to find those types of people, they're on Shortland Street, bro. Exactly. And that's a very small market of people. So apart from that, there's like, I still do like advertisements whenever they come in. Obviously, I've got to audition for it. But they're very far in between. It's hard to get a full-time job from acting. Unless you also want to go into theatre. But like, as fun as theatre is, man, the pay is fucking shit. Real shit for a large amount of work. Like all arts, you've really got to get into it for the love of it, for the passion of it.
But I one of your posts has just come to my mind that you've done recently, and that was where you're at now with your current career, which is obviously a personal trainer. From what I see and what I've experienced, you're far more than a personal trainer, which we'll get into. But can you just touch on like where you're at with your career choice, and because you've obviously pursued a passion, and this post was all about how fucking happy you are and how it like ticks all your boxes and stuff. Can you just touch on that? Yeah,
for sure, bro. So I've been very fortunate to, and I haven't always known this. It's only really came into fruition over the last couple of years when I started to really understand who I am and what my values are. And I feel like personal training right now, is deeply rooted within all my values, or all my values are deeply rooted in what I do with personal training. There's no other vehicle right now that I've found that allows me to contribute, to learn and grow, to have fun, to be present, to connect with others. Those are my 5 biggest values. And I get to do that, bro, every single fucking day and get paid really well for it. So, like, I'm winning. You know, I'm fucking winning. I'm like, if you had told 20-year-old Marwin what 30-year-old Marwin is doing right now, bro, he'd be like, wow, you did it. But all because I am grateful for the space that I am in now. I'm great because I am exactly where I wanted to be 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but I'm not in the position that I want to be in 10 years or 5 years from now. So I'm grateful, but I'm still also driven to like keep progressing. You know, because 40-year-old, 35-year-old Marwin's going to demand different things out of himself. Who knows, bro? Like I might have a family by that point. Can't be doing 30, 35 sessions when you've got a child. You know, I want to be a present father. If that is the case, or I want to travel. Tough to be getting income in when you're fucking halfway across the world. You know, can't do PT sessions out there. I want to be traveling.
Online nowadays, isn't it?
That too, you know, but right now I don't have an online offering either, you know. At the time, I didn't know it at the time because I stumbled across personal training. So like I said before, there's no fucking jobs in performing arts and acting. So after actually in my second to last and third year of acting school, I gained a whole lot of weight. Like I went from 70 kgs to 90 kgs just because, bro, I loved the student life. All of a sudden I was flatting.
I think we all did that over uni.
Bro, I was smashing KFC, Domino's, Coronas. I was drinking every weekend and I packed on the weight. And then I started getting stretch marks in the bottom of my stomach. And I was like, oh shit, what happens if this comes all the way up to my face? No woman is ever going to like me. Because I didn't know how stretch marks worked. So I was like, I got to start taking care of myself. I got to start getting leaner. I got to start looking better. Otherwise I'll never get a girlfriend. Because again, at that time, girls were, you know, wasn't in the forefront of my thinking. So anyway, fast forward, I lost 20 kgs. All my classmates at acting school was like, Marwin, how did you do it? So I started taking my classmates to the gym, and then one of my classmates were like, "Man, you know, you can get a job doing this." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what kind of job?" And they're like, "Personal training." And I was like, "Sick," because one, I know I can't get a full-time job as an actor after this, very unlikely. Two, personal training can be a full-time job. I'm in charge of my hours, blah 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 blah. So I went straight to PT school after acting school. Got a job at Les Mills. And at the time, it was just the thing that I didn't know that I know now that is consistent with being an actor, being a personal trainer, being a podcaster, is that I get to connect with people. As long as I can connect with people and give value and learn, I think I'll be all good. So that doesn't matter. That might be personal training in this phase, but what if I become like, I don't know, a car salesman in the next phase? Whatever. As long as I'm like with people, that
Can't
is like...
see selling cars, mate.
Probably not, right? I don't see myself either. But the main thing is that like, as long as the undercurrent of what I'm doing is still connecting with others, I will make money. I believe, you know? It's just right now, the vehicle of it is personal training. Bro, I get it when people are like, oh, my passion is graphic design. And I'm like, is it really? Because like or is it a vehicle for your passion? Because if I was to take graphic design from you, Regan, let's say you're a graphic designer, would your world all of a sudden crumble? Who are you now? You know? I like to see your passion as the thing that fuels the vehicle of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Bro, I think like you and I are quite unique in this world where we know our passion, like a deep fucking passion that we've followed. You know, I think the large majority of people are almost like just coasting through life. You know, they picked a uni subject that, I don't know, maybe their mates were doing or they thought sounded cool. And that probably led to a job that, I don't know, maybe they like. Maybe it was close to their house, or you know what I'm saying? And then they kind of just get stuck in that job and they start climbing the ladder, which is just a false sense of growth anyway. And then I guess they kind of just get stuck there and they're too scared to take a risk and follow a passion. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Yeah,
it's tough, bro, because that's just how society works, right? School is like that. From the age 5, you get spoon-fed information. You're taught what to think, not how to think. It's only once you start asking yourself and upskilling yourself on how to think critically, not just about the world, but about yourself, then you can start making more intentional choices. But like, you're right. I didn't start making more intentional choices until I was like late 20s. I'm 30 now, so it wasn't always like this for me. So yeah, if anyone out there is listening right now and thinking to themselves, maybe I'm on that boat of just going through life, of going through the flow. Maybe you are. Like, I would recommend just auditing your life, like how much of your life right now, and by life I mean how much of your weekly routine is something that you really want to do, or did you just go into that because it was convenient? How much of it really fuels what you want to be doing? Are you excited to wake up for your day? And if so, why? And if not, why? What does make you excited to wake up for your day? That's just how I think anyway.
Clip that. That's going on the gram.
You know what I mean, G?
Yeah, bro, that's so good. So there is a bit of a misconception around PTs where, you hear personal trainer, you instantly think buff dude, bit of a rep counter, but from... how long we know each other? Probably like 6 months now. We've caught up a few times, and what I see over your socials, like I can tell, like you're far more than a rep counter. It seems to me that you're also like a bit of a life coach, a friend, even health coach, and maybe even a therapist. Is that accurate?
I appreciate that, bro. I wouldn't call myself like a therapist or anything like that because I think that would be an insult to the actual therapists who have done like 3 years. But I understand the vibe that you're saying. I used to be that buff dude who would just count reps. Oh, yeah. But thankfully, for me in my career, again, my value of connecting with others allowed me to then transform my offering as a personal trainer. Like, for example, a personal trainer will say, I can get you physically fitter, physically stronger, and I will also upskill your mental fitness. But how? How are you going to do that, right? And it's easy to, yes, let's say you're going through relationships problems, Regan. You come to me as your personal trainer, we go through a mean workout, you get those endorphins for the next 2 hours, but you still got to go home and go back to your relationship problems, right? We don't actually solve anything in your overall lifestyle, if that's the perspective that we're looking from. Because health is not just physical health, it's mental and emotional too. So if you came to me to solve your physical health, great. But if your mental and emotional health is still unsolved, then what was the fucking point? We're only solving a third of your overall health. So I started asking myself, how can I serve these people more to not just tend to their physical health, but also their mental and emotional? And that's where coaching comes in. The ability to ask effective questions to bring the answer out of you, to empower you to take action, right? So like, again, example, obviously you're not, but if you had relationship problems, I'd ask you, we'd be going through our sets, during the rests, I'll be like, yo, Regan, what's taking up most rent in your head? My girlfriend is doing this. I'm like, cool. What do you want out of the situation? I want this out of the situation. Well, Regan, what have you tried? You'll tell me what you've tried. Well, what options do you have to get to your goal out of the situation? You'll list the options. Now, Regan, which option is going to make the highest impact towards your goal in this situation? Marwin, I want to do this. I want to communicate better to my partner. Cool. I will hold you accountable to that, Regan. So by the time we see each other next week, not only would you have done your movement targets, but you've also talked to your partner because that's the thing that's been giving you the most stress. Now all of a sudden there's a process of actually making you mentally fitter. I'm not just hoping that you get mentally fit and you come to the treasure. We're actually taking practical, pragmatic steps to make you mentally fitter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bro, for sure.
Because I think there's so many personal trainers like, yeah, you'll get physically fit and mentally fit. How? Oh, just the endorphins. Bro, that's not even half of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's, again, it's not their fault entirely because we don't get taught that at PT school,
Fuck, man, I love the way you think and I love the way you can articulate things. Like, as you're speaking, I've honestly just like so many questions are popping up in my head. And that's why I think I said to you, I actually struggled to write the questions for this just because you have such a wealth of knowledge on all things across this industry, which is fucking awesome. A couple of things that popped up was like, have you spoken to many other PTs? Like, are you quite unique in the sense that you do this? And if so, have you thought about training PTs?
Yeah. So, I've now entered a space where I'm now consulting personal trainers just because of the content that I've been producing. And then I started to produce content to help other PTs. As you can see on my Instagram, like there's more reels that are more tailored towards personal trainers. And by putting out that content, it provided social validation and proof that like he's offering something outside of it for PTs. So now, I've started to have meetings, started to film more content. In time, my goal is to create a course for personal trainers in the art of effective communication and coaching. The things that make a huge impact in your business and in your service without using verbal communication. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
Really think about your uniform. Think about how you dress. Think about like showing up on time, showing up early. What does that communicate? What does it communicate when you're looking at your clients in the eye? I think because personal training is such a wild west, you can do anything and everything. The standards are blurry. The consumer doesn't know the difference between a good PT or a bad PT. Is it normal that my PT makes me feel bad for missing these movement sessions? Am I meant to feel guilty? Are you meant to hold me accountable to that? Or is there a more effective, more empathetic, more safer, more productive way of holding your clients accountable?
I'd imagine you'd have to be quite flexible because everyone's totally different, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's very much like reading humans and trying to work out how they're going to respond to certain things.
Health is so nuanced, and so are people. People are so even more nuanced. So you can't come in as a PT with this dogmatic approach that you think everyone is going to fit your philosophy. And there are I've had clients that didn't fit my philosophy, and that was all good. Like, you were better off with another PT who's going to make a bigger impact on your personality. Like, I had a lead one time, and she said, I need to be told what to do every time. I need a meal plan. I need the same shit routine. And it was very bodybuilder-like. And I was like, hey, that's just not my go. I'm going to have to refer you to someone else who will be better suited for your needs and your personality. Where for me, I'd rather you discover what that is. Right? Now, I'm not saying that, like, if you're coming to me to learn how to the skill of strength training, I'm going to be like, let's see how you can, how would you deadlift if you've never deadlifted before? Right? Like, obviously, I am the expert in that. I am giving you the skill. But when it comes to, like, managing your life and everything else outside of the training room, like, you're the expert in that. I'll help you. I'll ask questions to help you discover the answers for yourself. Because I don't know. Like, I can tell you what works for me, but, like, that's not going to resonate with you unless you find the answer for yourself. That's much more resonating for you.
Fucking oath. I'm wondering where you learnt these skills. Like, did they kind of just accumulate over time, like working with different clients? Because I'm actually working with a life coach at the moment. And going into it, I was like, okay, I need someone to help me structure my work because I've just started a new career. I've just gone out working for myself. I need like a bit of a mentor. I need answers. I need, like all this stuff. And it hasn't been like that at all. It's been, the complete opposite. He's given me the tools, as in like, we've covered confidence. We've covered, belief and misbelief, and things like that, which has allowed me to find the answers myself and realize that I am smart enough. I have the answers. I do know how to plan out my day. I do know how to go and fucking commit to something that I've planned out, and so I'm just wondering, because it sounds like that's what you're talking about, right? That's exactly what you do. So has that just come from over time, or did you learn that somewhere? Or
I think I'm naturally, it's in my DNA to be empathetic. I think that helps a huge part. Again, my values of connecting with people. Two, bro, I've gone through my own PTs and coaches. I had a really, really good life coach for a couple of years. I still do have her. I just don't see her as often as I used to. Who a lot of my work is a reflection of what she did with me. She was the same. I was like, fuck, I'm having these problems. I'm going out every single weekend and I don't want to be going out. It's draining my money, blah, blah, blah. And instead of her giving me this like routine plan that she thought would work for me, she was like, what's more manageable for you? And allowing, just like your life coach, allowing you to find the answer to your own rhythm and routine. And by doing that, bro, like, did that not increase your own confidence? Like you said, that you are smarter. Would we have found out that we were smarter and more confident if someone told us what to do rather than us finding the solution ourselves and adhering to the solutions and keeping the promises we kept to ourselves? Does that make sense?
Yeah, bro, 100%. 100%. So one of the big purposes of this podcast is to provide like little golden nuggets that my audience, all 5 of them, shout out to you.
For now.
Shout out to you, Mum. So, yeah, that they can implement into their life to live a healthier and ultimately happier lifestyle. And I think we've served PTs well. I think they're going to take a lot away from the start of that conversation. I want to shift a little bit over to, I guess, Joe Blogg, your average punter who is possibly struggling with the motivation to lose weight or to train or whatever. And we hear all over Instagram and Facebook and whatnot that consistency trumps discipline. But how the fuck do we stay consistent if we're feeling so unmotivated all the time?
Yeah, so we can tackle this in different angles. First of all, like, consistency doesn't always mean 100% every single day. Like, consistency can be 100% today, 20% tomorrow, 50% the next day. As long as you're doing something that gets you 1% closer to your goal every single day, that's consistency. And consistency can look different every day. Your best will look different every day. That's life. Like, life is so spontaneous, right? We've got to be willing to adapt and manage our expectations depending on the situation that we're in. So that's the consistency part. The motivation part is, in my opinion, motivation is such an unreliable fuel. Like, it's fleeting, bro. It's fleeting. Like, there's going to be days where you're really motivated. There's going to be days where you're not motivated. I think the thing that we should really rely on and really clarify is your why. Like, what is your goal? Like, let's say your Joe Blogg's goal is to lose 5 kgs. I'd ask, why do you want to lose 5 kgs? What does that represent for you? Let's say, Joe, you lose 5 kgs right now. You've lost it. Now what? What do you think happens? What do you think fucking happens with your life?
Yeah.
It's like, if I lose 5 kgs, I think I'll just be more like confident to ask girls out. So that's what you want. You want to be confident to ask girls out. Great. Let's just not forget the 5 kgs, but let's just go straight to the source. Let's just do the things that make you feel confident. Fuck the 5 kgs, but just go straight to the source. If me and you were going to Tauranga, we're not going to go to Taupo first. Just go straight to Tauranga. It's the same fucking deal. So you know what I mean? People take the long fucking route to their goals, bro.
Yeah.
Take the long route to the ideal lifestyle. What is your goal? Why do you want your goal? And then just fucking show up for the why of your goal. So, Joe, you say you want to lose 5 kgs because you want to become more confident. What are the things right now in your life that allow you to be more confident? Doing something new, like reading a book, working out 3 times a week makes me feel confident. What else? Learning a new skill makes me feel confident. Great. Let's set those 3 things as a non-negotiable tasks in your routine. So move 3 times a week. Learn a new skill. Actually set a time where you're going to do that every single week because they make you feel confident, right? Rack up enough reps of the things that make you feel confident. Eventually, your desired outcome will become your default position. You will become confident, right? Does that make sense?
Yes. So, like, do you find that everyone that comes to you, or I'm assuming they come to you like, oh, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, but is there always like an underlining?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. That is, so they think that by achieving this goal, it will allow them to do X. Find out what X is after they've set the goal.
Which we know, right? Which we know it kind of does start with your health, eh? It does start with your physical health.
Yeah.
Because if you get fit, if you get strong, you know, that makes you feel good, especially if you work out in the morning, you feel good all day, you know, then you start eating healthy and it all snowballs from there, and then you might, you know, do better at work or whatever. So
yeah, because the ratchet thing is, like, let's say you're doing all these tasks, but you still haven't lost 5 kgs. All of a sudden, you've nullified these tasks. You could be already confident because you've been doing the things that make you feel confident for the last month, or you've been doing them all your fucking life, but you haven't lost 5 kgs, and you still think you're not good enough. You know what I mean? You have actually arrived on the why you wanted to be healthy in the first place. But because you haven't got that tangible number yet, you think that you're not. When you could already be in your dream situation. You know?
Okay, Marwin, and I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Sure.
I hear you. And yes, we have found this kind of underlining purpose. But I want to look sexy. I want to see my abs. You know, I still want to lose this fucking weight. How do I do it?
Sweet. So let's say you want to feel. Let's say that why is to feel confident to go. I don't know. Ask out a girl, right? Yeah. And you say losing 5 kgs will make you feel sexy. Great. Do the things that allow you to feel confident to ask out other people. So what does that look like movement wise? I'm asking you.
For me personally,
if you're Joe Blog wanting to lose 5 kgs to ask out women.
Yeah. Well, isn't that why Joe's come to you?
Exactly, right? So if you want to lose the 5 kgs to ask out women, you've got to show up as the Joe as that, right? So how does that reflect with your movement routine?
Gotcha.
If you're wanting to feel confident to ask out other people, what types of training, what types of movement would you need to do in order for you to feel confident?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know. That's why I've come to a PT.
I would offer strength training. And then what else? You know, I would offer strength training. Maybe you want to also do running. But, like, I've got to bring the answer out of you. Like, if you want to work with me, definitely I've got a certain way of training.
Is that also because you've got to enjoy it? So you need to figure out, like, what they want to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more... And we're just talking about from looking sexy and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
When you keep showing up for the tasks that make you feel confident, then naturally your trajectory is that you're going to lose 5 kgs. You know?
Yeah.
But that's like the byproduct. Yeah. It is not the focal point. You know? The focal point is the why. Yeah. When you focus on the why and show up for the why of just doing the things that make you feel confident every single day, consistently, whether it's 100%, 5%, 10%, but every single day, you are on the right trajectory of achieving your goals of losing 5 kgs.
Yeah. And what I've just realized what we're talking about here is extrinsic versus intrinsic goals.
Yes.
So that losing the weight, looking sexy, having confidence to get naked in front of a woman or man, that's all extrinsic. And I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but who cares?
Yeah, you are.
And intrinsic is more the purpose, the feeling. And I've found recently it's way better to have goals like, say, for me at the moment, I'm into triathlons. So one of my goals at the moment is to do a half Ironman sub 6 hours. And so, okay, what do I need to do to be able to do that? I need to do a fuckload of swimming. I need to do a fuckload of running and biking. And guess what's going to happen, Marwin? I'm going to get lean, you know? Yeah. So I think that's what you're saying. It's don't focus on that part of it because that'll come.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, and there's something to be said about, like, for example, your goal is to run do a triathlon, sorry. Huge goal, right? Now that you've got the goal, like, what type of person do you need to be? Like, actually, first, bro, let's actually work with you. Why do you want to do a triathlon?
Why do I want to do a triathlon?
Let's say you've done the triathlon right now. You did it.
Well, I have done some.
Yeah, great. Well, okay, with the one that you've got in mind.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you want to do it? Let's say you've done it today. Done deal.
So,
what do you think's going to happen?
There's a couple of things that come to mind. There's the really good stuff, the intrinsic stuff, like when you finish, like you feel fucking amazing. You know,
like what?
Look at this fucking achievement I've felt, both physically, you know, endorphins, like, you know, you're feeling amazing. You know, anyone who's gone for a run knows what I'm talking about. And then you cross the finish line, your kids run up to you, you know, you give them a hug, give your wife a kiss, all your family's there taking photos, you get a medal, like you feel fucking amazing. And then I guess there's the not so good stuff, the extrinsic stuff, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to post this online, I'm gonna be able to show off, I'm gonna get that I guess attention or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I guess I want to do it for all those reasons. Plus my personal drive has a bit of a nice, I suppose, a nice backstory, which is from my mate passing. I started running after he passed, and then that slowly turned into multi-sport and triathlons. So yeah, like literally, bro, every time I'm out running, I feel like I'm with Matt. I feel super connected to him. I don't know whether it's something being in nature or because like I started running because of Matt. And I think if he was still around, I think he would have gone down this path too. Not to say that I'm just trying to do what he would have done, because, you know, it's my life and I've still got to focus on what I want to do, and I'm fucking loving it. Like I really love that I found this new sport. And then I guess there's also like the mental side of it. What I love about these long events is like you really fucking find out who you are, eh? Like I did a full marathon, so 42 Ks, just a run, and I was so unprepared. I was still on the high of like fucking which we talked about in your podcast, be the best version of myself, and I'm living in Matt's honor. And then I kind of, I hit a wall at about the 30k mark and started cramping, had to walk the rest of it, totally unprepared. But, that's where I was going. The mental game is fucking insane, bro. And that's what I think a lot of people love about that sport. They're absolute nutters. But, so I guess to answer your question, there's lots of motivators.
Yeah. I mean, to put it in a nutshell, and correct me if I'm wrong, the why behind why you want to do a triathlon is because of the sense of accomplishment. Yeah. The accomplishment to yourself, the accomplishment that you get to project onto your children, and also the sense of accomplishment for your dear friend Matt. Right? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bro.
Great.
100%.
So relative...
I wish I said it in one sentence like that.
That's the art of coaching, bro.
Yeah.
For you to unravel the yarn of thoughts, and for me as your coach to put them into order. And as I did it, did I hear that right, Regan? And you're like, yeah, that's it. Cool. Yeah, now it's in order, right? Yeah. In one concise sentence.
I'm going to write this down.
Things are much more clearer for you now. It's a sense of accomplishment internally, externally, and for Matt.
Yeah, totally.
So now, relative to the goal of doing a triathlon, you've just got to show up every single day now, chasing that sense of accomplishment. What can I eat today that will allow me to feel that sense of accomplishment towards my bigger goal of running a triathlon? Does eating a butter chicken right now make me here at breakfast make me feel like I'm doing a sense of accomplishment? Would it?
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not, right? Of course not. Yeah. Does missing out on my swim today make me feel like I am contributing to my sense of accomplishment?
No.
Absolutely not. Now you start showing up every single fucking moment of every single day for that sense of accomplishment. You know? So don't worry about being consistency. Consistency is a byproduct of showing up for the type of person you want to be and the purpose behind it. Now all of a sudden, bro, you're eating the things that make you feel like you've got a sense of accomplishment. You're doing the things, you're training the things that make you feel like you've got a sense of accomplishment. You're communicating to your partner like like it's a sense of accomplishment. You know? You're going to sleep wanting that sense of accomplishment. It's not just for the triathlon, but you're structuring your entire lifestyle, your thoughts, your doing, your being for a sense of accomplishment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bro.
It's powerful, isn't it?
So powerful, bro.
Yeah.
So powerful. And how do I do that? Like, how do I keep that in the back of my mind when I'm making decisions, you know, when I'm deciding between a beer and a water, when I'm deciding to go to the gym or not. Like how do you keep that there? Do you have like any tangible actions? Like do you have, I don't know, people like to put posters on their wall or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like all things, the more you expose yourself to the stimulus, the better you get at it. Just like strength training, when you're trying to learn a new skill. This is essentially trying to learn a new skill. You're rewiring your belief systems, your brain and your way of thinking to show up for a sense of accomplishment. For me, it's actually tangibly putting things into my routine, as you would be doing now, that make you feel that way. Going for a swim on a Monday at 8 a.m. maybe. Doing your bike ride, you know? And then one other thing for me is like exposing myself to I'm always on my phone, right? So like for me right now, what I'm working on is acceptance. So I've got a question right now on my screensaver. What right now requires my acceptance? So every time I open up my phone, I'm exposed to that stimulus, you know, of who I want to be. You want to be someone who's of getting a sense of accomplishment. I want to be someone who's accepting.
Yeah.
So I'm always
and why
exposed.
don't you answer that for us?
What's that?
The question on your phone.
What right now requires my... So that changes every single moment, right?
Well, give it to us.
Right now?
Yeah.
Sure. What right now requires my acceptance? Right now.
That this podcast setup's a bit dusty?
Nah, not even that, bro. To be honest, right now I feel like I'm in an accepted space because the conversation that we're having right now is connected. Like there's no friction. So right now it's very accepting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Now, on your Instagram bio, you help people manage their stress through strength training. Honestly, I mean, I've got a little bit more of an idea, obviously, from our conversation, but how the fuck does that work, bro? Can strength training really do that? Sure,
because it's the catalyst to the conversations that we have. It's in a way, the front, the facade, right? Because like we've been saying this whole episode, your mental and emotional state influences your physical state. If you come to one of our PT sessions and you're about to lift the 1RM, but you've come because you've had such a huge argument with your partner, maybe the kids have kept you up all night, are you going to have the capacity to do a 1RM? No, you're not. So we have to talk about that. We'll go through that process again. What is your goal? What happened? How can we manage this next time? So we manage your stress through you showing up for strength training and then talking about all the other factors that help influence your performance in strength training. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And I think we have covered that a lot through this whole podcast.
Yeah.
So I'll probably shift the gear a little bit again. Nutrition. How's your knowledge on nutrition? Because this is Joe Blog talking again. But Marwin, there's so much information, there's so much misinformation, there's so many different styles and diets and fads, and honestly, bro, I'm feeling frustrated. Like, I want to eat healthier, I just don't know how. Like, what do I do, man?
This goes back to coaching and trying to bring out the answer in you, and also allowing you to enter this world of discovery on what works best for you, because what works best for Regan and Marwin doesn't work best for Joe Blog, right? So let's say Joe Blog's goal again is to feel confident. What foods, actually let's work with you, bro. Sense of accomplishment, right? Let's say you need work on your nutrition, but in
do
your
I have to pay for the session?
No, right, this one comes free. But your goal is for a sense of accomplishment, for your triathlon.
Yes.
What kind of foods, Regan, make you feel like you are getting that sense of accomplishment towards a marathon or towards a triathlon?
For me, it's whole foods.
Great.
And obviously you hear a lot about eating protein.
Yep.
My training volume is just picked up quite a lot in the last week.
Yep.
So I'm fucking hungry all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, for me it's just whole foods, meat, fruit, veg. That's about it.
So you have it. Yeah, and I didn't tell you to eat meat, fruit, veg, whole foods. You already knew that about yourself, right? Because I could never have known that about you. It would be the same for Joe Blog. Like, what foods, Joe Blog, do you do you eat to make you feel confident about yourself? He might say, oh, definitely. Most people know, bro, how to eat healthy.
Yeah.
Most people know.
So glad you said that.
fucking know. You've just, for whatever reason, for a multitude of factors, you just don't, right? But most people know.
Yeah.
They'll say vegetables, protein, like meats.
Yeah.
And now we've identified the foods that make you feel confident, Joe. What foods don't make you feel confident about yourself when pre, during, and after eating? Oh, like a heavy pasta, you know? A butter chicken before work.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me feel that makes me feel gluggy. It's about identifying certain foods that help relate and align to the person you want to be, that intrinsic motivation, and also that relate towards your goal.
Bro, I'm so glad you said the part about most people know, because that's my take on nutrition. And like I said, there's so many different fads and different ways you can eat, and eating in certain windows and stuff. And we're just fucking over complicating it. James, do you follow James Smith?
Absolutely, yeah, bro.
Like
yeah.
his one of his big analogies that he uses quite often is like, if your dog's overweight, you're not going to fucking make him eat in a certain window or put him on keto or fucking even vegan or anything ridiculous like that. No, you're not. You're going to take him for more walks and probably feed him a bit less. So simple. So why the fuck do we complicate it when it comes to ourselves? And yeah, like you said, people know how to eat healthy. We know that meats, fruits, veggies, we know that these sort of foods are really good for us. And there's fucking pies and donuts and chocolate and arguably pasta and breads, etc. And for me, it's just about saying yes to the good stuff more and no to the bad stuff a little bit more, you know? Not completely getting rid of it, you know? You don't have to go fucking paleo. If you want to, great. Okay? Like, if you're Art Green, and it's obviously working for him. Like, good job, buddy.
Yeah, I think he sells some shit. That's why too. That's why he's good.
Yeah, sure.
He's got something to sell.
But you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to go that extreme. Just find balance, you know? And if you find that you're getting a bit porky, you know, tone up your balance a little bit. Say no a little bit more often. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. When you've clarified what your intrinsic motivation is, why you want to achieve the things that you want to achieve and who you want to be, like, overeating doesn't align to that at all. You know what I mean? And sometimes you do overeat, fine, whatever, that's life. But like, bros, there's something to be said about like context and dosages as well, right? Like, butter chicken doesn't make me feel confident about myself after eating it. It makes me feel gluggy. It makes me feel slow. It feels like I need to have a nap. I don't feel confident.
It tastes good, though.
But fuck, it tastes good. So that's what I mean. Do I need to feel confident about myself at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night? No, I don't.
No.
So that's the context. Do I need to feel confident and good about myself at 9 a.m. when I know I've got 8 clients to get through? Absolutely. So butter chicken doesn't work there. Now, let's talk about dosages. All because I don't need to feel confident at 7 p.m. every single night after work doesn't mean that I eat butter chicken every single night after work. You've got to think dosages as well. Even water can be overdosed. Can at some point can be bad for you, right? Yeah, you've got to. Everything is all good until taken past a certain point.
Yeah.
In the context of dosing.
Totally, bro. So you're massively in this world of health and fitness. How many people do you train?
Like 24, I think.
Yeah, so
like
that's
35
a lot.
sessions.
That's a lot, and the large majority of your podcasts are talking about this sort of stuff. Like, yeah, it's just massively intertwined in your life. So I was just wondering, like, how do you find the time and energy to look after your own health and fitness? You know, you hear that funny analogy of someone who works at a chocolate factory, gets home, you know, day in, day out, mixing chocolate, you know, packaging chocolate, whatever, gets home and just can't stand it, can't look at chocolate. Like, is it a bit like that for you?
Absolutely, bro.
Oh,
and
wow.
and I also appreciate you acknowledging that, yeah, my work is all extensions of myself. Podcasting, personal training, they're all extensions of who I am. They're just vehicles for me to be able to do more of what I love doing. But back to your question, yeah, I do the same thing that I preach to my clients, which is I outsource everything. I don't cook at home. I I pay for a meal company to deliver my meals already cooked. So all I need to do is put that in the microwave.
Like a HelloFresh or something? Or?
HelloFresh, you have to still cook yourself. I do Go Paleo, and that's already cooked. So I get 12 meals a week. Are
they any good? Because we just tried some meals recently, and it's just not like the same thing, eh? It was you're gonna crack up at the name. It was Swole Meals.
Oh yeah, so that's I've never tried that, but that I'm pretty sure that's like very bodybuilder like. So it's like vegetables, fucking your meat, and then a carbohydrate, real simple, and then they just put like sauce on top of it, like tomato sauce. So like there are some meal companies that actually create like lifestyle food for everyday people. Like I have pad thais, I have pasta, but like they're made healthily to the best of their ability.
What's it called?
Go Paleo.
Go Paleo.
My only critical advice. My only critical advice to Go Paleo, the premium meals that I buy, is that there's not enough fiber. There's not enough vegetables in them. Yeah, so I would need to heat up or cook my own frozen vegetables with them. But back to your question. Yeah, I outsource everything too, bro. Like, one, I have my own personal trainer to ensure that I show up to my sessions. And I train 6 times a week. The one that I struggle to show up for the most is the one where I don't have anyone waiting for me. So that's my strength training days on Monday. And that's why I can empathize with Joe Blogg and Sally and Tom who work in corporate. I get it. That's the last thing I want to do as well when I've finished a whole day's work, you know? And that's what the importance of outsourcing what you're struggling with out. So I outsource my meals. I outsource most of my trainings. Man,
I've seen the power of that in the last few years, and as I'm about to say this, I do acknowledge that I am in a privileged position where I can afford to do this. But so I do work with a therapist, with a life coach, and now a triathlon coach, and I started with the therapist, and it just changed my life. Again, if you want to hear more about that, go to the High Frequency podcast, because we spoke about that. And it just made me realize that, like, outsourcing these experts have such a massive impact, you know? Like yes, you can get by and do things on your own. You can create your own workouts and things like that. And a lot of people do that and are successful doing that. But man, if you really want to make a difference, use an expert, you know? There's a reason why they're an expert, eh?
Absolutely. Money buys time. So if you didn't hire all your coaches, then you would be trying to figure that all out for yourself. And that might take 5 times time in comparison to actually hiring someone who's got the skills to create a more efficient journey for you. Like, when I buy my meals, all because I don't have to cook anymore, doesn't mean I'm upstairs fucking watching UFC. Like, you know, that gives me more time to create content. Like, my mindset around, for example, buying the meals is that it gives me more time to move my money needle or my brand needle. I'm not wasting the time that I've just bought, because essentially one meal costs $15 from Go Paleo, and I've just bought myself 45 minutes because I don't have to cook or clean up. That doesn't mean I'm upstairs fucking around for that 45 minutes that I just bought. I'm moving forward somewhere else. You know what I mean? I'm being productive with that time. That's the point. Money buys time.
I fucking love that. I do love that. As people have heard now, like, you're very insightful. You're quite philosophical, I would say. I was just wondering, like, do you have a bit of an idea of where that came from? I'm guessing your parents probably, and sounds like your dad had a bit of an influence, but yeah, is that something you've always been like?
Yeah, I think I'm innately curious, bro. There's a story where I went through a really bad breakup, and this was the second breakup, a big breakup, and the girl that broke up with me for the reasons my previous girlfriend broke up with me for. And they didn't know each other. And I always used to be like, it's their fault. I never took responsibility until that second girlfriend dumped me for the same reasons as my first one. And I was
Do you want to share those? Or?
Yeah, I was just irresponsible. I was a liar. So they would start dating this Marwin, and then as I got comfortable, a different Marwin would evolve. So obviously I was a Marwin that was trying to impress them. And then as the relationship went on, I was someone almost completely different. I was who I really was. And when they said that, I was like, wow, obviously this is a me problem. So I started going on this journey, taking radical responsibility, trying to ask myself, who am I? Why do I act a certain way when I first meet people, or when I start dating someone, and then act a different way when we're later down the line? And I got real curious on that, bro. And the more I found out, it was, I'm more worried that I have blind spots than I am hearing about them. Bro, I've spent like, during that whole breakup and everything, and all the times after that, there's been many times where I always just ask myself, why? Why did you react that way? Why did that emotionally trigger you? Why does that make you happy? Why? And like journaling really helps for me, because I'm able to get those thoughts onto paper, and then I can reread and find like patterns. Bro, there was once a time where I was so hardcore on journaling that I would do a week's worth of journaling, and then I would go on a Sunday and be like, cool, I mentioned that I was happy about my career 6 times. I was mentioned that I was unhappy about my relationships 4 times. And then I'd have a tally right at the end to be like, okay, I have something about my career is making me really, really happy. Double down on that. Something about my relationship is making me unhappy. Solve that. Because I have objective data now on myself. So I've gotten into this mindset, as you say, of like, I guess philosophy or whatever, or self-awareness, because I'm just so worried that I have blind spots. I'm so, once upon a time, I used to be so cringed, bro, and so ashamed of the person that I was that dated Alana and that dated Brie. That's so cringe. So a part of me is running away from that type of person, creating space between that Marwin from 6 years ago.
What would you say to that Marwin if he was in the room right now?
Good question, bro. What would I say to him? I would say, ask yourself why you are the way you are, and that will lead you down the rabbit hole of finding out who you really are.
Love that.
Yeah, because I wouldn't take that all away as well. I don't regret being that way, because that was the catalyst for change. That has given me the reference point of who I do not want to be. If I never went through that experience, then I wouldn't be who I am now.
So there was an obvious big moment in your life, and for people who know me, mine is obviously when Matt passed, and it seems to like take these massive moments for people to do a bit of introspection and to really want to grow, really want to work on themselves. And because like after I lost Matt, I literally put my life under a microscope and was like, okay, like where can I change here? Like what can I improve on? Where how can I be the best version of myself? But fuck, man, like, why does it have to take a big moment like that? Why does it have to take a couple of big breakups? Why does it have to take losing a loved one? And can people do it without going through those big moments?
I think you need the contrast, bro. And you need a certain level of emotional angst, of emotional hurt for it to really register, you know? So if anyone is listening to this right now who's going through a really hard time, just think of yourself when you were going through hard times previously, you know? There's always something to learn. There's always this little bit of treasure. So if you can, like, look really hard at the hard times that you're having right now and ask yourself, like, that cliche thing of, what is this trying to teach me? Take the treasure and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? Because at the same time, during my breakup with Alana, bro, my depression state, and as depressed as I could be, lasted much longer than it should have, because I was wallowing in that hurt. You know, I was making it last longer than what it needed to be. But when I took the lesson and traded it with the regret that I have, I was able to move on. And I think that's what self-acceptance is, right? Trade the lesson for your regret, so then you can move on.
Yeah, fuck, I love that, bro. I know you're a busy man. I've got a few more questions up my sleeve. you've already touched on journaling. Mate, I think I want to dive in a little bit more on that.
Sure.
Just because, like I said, I really want to give my audience like tangible things that they can implement into their life.
Sure.
It's something, and maybe you could give me advice, because it's something that I have really struggled with and struggled to be consistent with. And even if I do try and do it, I'll sit there and I'm like, what the fuck do I write? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does someone start? How do they get into it? Like, what's the sort of things you're writing down? Like, how does it work?
You can start in many ways. If you're really lost on it, then you can just Google like journaling prompts, and that will help get things started.
That's cool.
Yeah, so journaling prompts are just questions that you can start asking. For me, it's gone through many phases of journeys, and right now, it always comes back to one: if something bothered me or something was highlighted in my day previously, then I'll write about it. And then I'll ask myself why. And then I'll ask myself why. Until I feel like I have gotten it off my chest, but most importantly, created more capacity in my head. So I don't have to think about it, right? For me, the focus of journaling is just so I can think more clearly and to obtain more data about myself, to get to know who I am. So yeah, start with journaling prompts, or start with an event that gave you an emotional trigger. And start writing about that and start asking yourself why. And it doesn't always have to be a negative emotional trigger. It can be positive. Me and my partner talked about going on holiday. I really enjoyed that chat because blah, blah. And I really want to go on holiday because I feel actually burnt out. And you're like, oh shit, now I've actually admitted to myself that I'm burning out.
Yeah.
It's this flow-on effect, this conversation that you're having with yourself.
Yeah. And it's all part of that introspection that we're talking about, and writing about these events. And I actually heard Will Smith talking about it recently when he was writing his book. He kept writing, oh, this made me pissed. And then he was like, realized that, I can't just keep using the word pissed. So he'd really like take himself back to that moment. And then he'd realize, oh, actually, I wasn't pissed. I was embarrassed. And he said it was just like fucking powerful by, just really like reading himself, really just getting to know himself. Which I think like people don't do that.
Yeah, there's such huge value in getting really curious about yourself. Like seeing yourself in third person perspective,
And then making change.
Yeah, really identifying what problems are going on for you. What are your stresses? And then, doing the things that allow you to eliminate them.
Yeah.
Or at least manage them.
Yeah, because like I was saying, after Matt passed, I really looked at myself and all the things I didn't like about myself. It was quite brutal, to be honest. And now, like, looking back at those last 2 years, I've realized, like, holy shit, I've done some powerful work here that not many people do. And I've come out the other side fucking, like, a changed man, to be honest. It sounds dramatic, and it sounds like, I'm talking myself up, but I'm a new man, bro. I've got more energy. I'm more creative. I feel smarter. Bro, I feel smarter. I'm more confident. And the main thing, bro, I'm happier.
What made you want to get out of that state, that negative emotional state? Because there are a lot of people that could be listening right now. It's like, oh, easy for you to say you can afford a therapist. You know what I mean?
True. I didn't use therapy for probably like a year and a half. I used a whole bunch of tools. Like meditation, running, getting in the ocean, breath work. All these things are free, by the way. Yeah. What made me want to get out of that mindset was...
Because what was the mindset? If you could give us like some words to describe your mindset at the time, what were they?
Like just after he'd passed?
Yeah. When you were in your darkest moments.
Yeah, angry, obviously, because of the way... Like, he was murdered.
Yep.
I was deeply, deeply sad. Like, there was a big fucking hole missing in my life, and to be honest, that's still there. I guess I've just learned to live with it and manage it. Broken heart, bro. Depressed, and it actually highlighted areas of myself that I already needed to work on. So I already had a short fuse. I was already dealing with anger issues. This just made it worse.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And it was actually my kids who made me realize, okay, I need to change something about myself, you know? I was getting grumpy with my kids, and that's not fair on them, you know? Like, they're 3 and 1. Like, they don't know any better, you know? Like, they're gonna play up. And for me to get grumpy is I mean, it's okay. Like, it happens, but what am I trying to say here? I just mean, it made me realize that I needed to change these things about myself, for them, but also for myself. And once I consistently, so I think I started with meditation. I went and learned properly from a guru. Don't know if she calls herself that, but I like calling my guru. And bro, like, once I was consistent with that for even just like a couple of months, I noticed physical tension from my neck and my shoulders just drift away. It was crazy. I was a calmer person. Like, certain situations where I know I would have usually flipped out, I was able to, you know, stay calm and just talk through whatever's happening, or think through whatever's happening. And yeah, it was I guess what I'm trying to say is that I just realized that this wasn't a healthy way to be. And and bro, you know me, like, I'm a happy, outgoing guy. Like, I love, like yourself, like, I love connection, I love people, and I just couldn't be in this state for too long. And a friend of mine actually asked me how I was going with the loss of Matt, and how my grief was going, and my answer was, bro, I kicked grief in the fucking ass. Like, I took it head on. Like, albeit, yes, I probably the first few months, understandably, was in a very dark place. A lot of drinking, a lot of crying. But yeah, slowly but surely, I just fucking took it on head on. I was like, nah, fuck this. You know, like, I don't want to be like this. And do you think Matt wants me to be like this? Hell no. And yeah, man, I've come out the other side just an absolute change, man.
Yeah, well, a part of that, as you said, was that, like, you had evidence that you weren't always angry, that you also weren't always sad. I was the same after my breakup. I was like, I am normally a jovial, joyful, happy guy. Why do I keep waking up feeling sad all the time? You know, and going down that rabbit hole of why? Yeah, just not wanting to be in that negative situation sounds like what drove us to then change, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And some people might be listening right now. It's like, I'm always sad, you know? Really be critical on yourself. Like, have you always been sad? You know, I understand that there are, like, maybe some, like, unresolved, really, really traumatic trauma experiences that's happened to you. But that doesn't also mean that you can build new evidence that you are outside of what you currently are, you know?
Yeah. I actually, we touched on this in my last podcast, but so it'd be good to get your point of view. Like, I think a lot of people, I don't want to say like being sad, but they like almost playing the victim. And because change is hard. Change is scary. Change requires effort. Staying a couch potato who's sad and fucking depressed, that's easy. You know, wallowing in your own shit, that's easy. You know, like...
Yeah, I mean, does anyone want to wake up and be a couch potato and wallow in their own shit? I don't think anyone puts their hand up for that. You know what I mean? I think there are many reasons why they do that. Could be trauma. Could be they don't have the knowledge. They don't have any role models in their life, you know? And also, you are right, like, taking radical responsibility and accountability of yourself is also very hard. you know.
That's where they outsource someone like you.
Yeah. Or, bro, for something that's free, like, go meet someone that is role modeling the certain behaviors that you wish to have. Like, role models are so fucking important, you know?
Yeah. Definitely.
But you're back to the whole wallowing in your own shit and being a victim. I get it. Like, I know that exists. Definitely that exists. But if you're being emotionally triggered by what we're saying right now, I would challenge you to be like, is that what you really want to be putting your hand up for? Are you subconsciously putting your hand up to wallow in your own shit, to be a victim of your circumstances? Because you know, you don't have to be there. You know,
take a good hard look at yourself, people.
And I'm not here trying to be preachy either. Like, it's not entirely your fault. It's not entirely your fault. You might not know that you've been in this routine, in this rhythm for a long time. It might have been passed down to you and you thought this is just the way life is, you know. But it's not. It's not. There's been many people before you who have gotten out. You just need to go out there and meet those types of people, have more conversations, as hard as it is. And I get it, having these vulnerable conversations are difficult because you've never done it before. Anything you've never done before is always going to be very difficult. But the trade-off to having these difficult conversations with yourselves and others is that you'll come out in a better place.
Yeah, I do agree with you. It isn't always their fault. But I think it is their responsibility to take action and change. No one's fucking coming to help you. If you're fat, no one's coming to fucking pick you up and take you for a run. If you're sad, no one's fucking coming to pick you up and make you happy. It's up to you. Like, everyone's in this world is out for number one. Obviously, you've got your wife and your kids who you look after, but it's up to you. It's up to fucking you. Bro, that was a hissing episode. I've just got another couple little things to wrap up. What's next for Marwin? What can we get excited about?
Just a continuation of what I feel I have been doing for a very long time. It's only just recently, through different vehicles and different opportunities, is my work being displayed out into, I guess, more audiences now. Well, one thing is, if you're a personal trainer or a health coach of any kind, that type of content, I'm going to start creating more offerings towards that and helping the people that help other people get healthy. Because it's one thing for me to be doing it, but it's an even better thing for a whole lot of people to be doing it. I think a world where people are more empathetic towards others, people are more conscious, people empower others to find the answers within themselves to create the healthy lifestyle that they want. That's the type of world I want to live in, and I want to contribute to that through creating offerings of like PT courses. What else is that? Like your more continuation of like the High Frequency Club podcast episodes. You know, I've been very fortunate to have come across like people like you in our Lululemon ambassadorship, where I've been able to sit down and have great conversations as we have had today, and also tap into other people's markets. Bro, just doing what I've been doing at scale.
Fucking love that. That's epic, bro. I had at the bottom of my list here about the whole providing golden nuggets. I think we've filled the listeners' boots. But just in case there was any last advice you had to them to help them live a happier and healthier lifestyle?
Take it slow. Remember, your best is going to look different from time to time. And at the very minimum, 1% is still better than what you did last week. And don't underestimate the power of those little 1%ers, because if you go 1% for 365 days, that's a year, man, you can be in a completely different situation.
And lastly, of course, where can people find you, bro?
You can find me on Instagram at Marwin Silerio. You can find also my podcast, The High Frequency Club, and my website is www.rise-workout.com.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Mate, what a pleasure. I'm so glad I've met you. I'm so glad our lives have crossed paths. This friendship is something I'm super excited about. I'm very excited to watch what you can make of yourself and how you're going to grow your business and your podcast. I think together we can do big things, my bro. And yeah, all the best, brother.
Thanks for having me, bro. Thanks, everybody.
So that's a wrap to another episode of the Second Win podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I just have a couple of favors before you go. Wherever you're listening, please hit the follow button. It helps so much more than you know. It'll help us reach more people, change more lives, and of course, get bigger and badder guests. Now, if you want to stay up to date with our Second Wind events or even join our training club, you'll find us on Instagram, secondwind_hub. Thanks for listening. See you out there.